Right.
So we just have residential up first. You have been through all of this, but there are some amendments that Sarah Oliver would like to take you through before the chapter is notified. And then if you have any further questions on those matters that that you have decided for example, character areas, Sarah can show you where they are now in the version to be notified in section 32. If you wish that, then we need to go on and settle the matter of the sale of alcohol rules, and then the last one is the inland port, and then if we could just approve all of the recommendations for stage 2, then we can move on to the stage 3 meeting.
Yep.
Sarah.
Okay,
so I've gone through everything. Oh, right, I'll just show it. You've got 3 pieces of paper here, attachment A, attachment B and attachment C. I've been through all the residential material with you, so this is just really to say that the documentation that was provided to you missed in Appendix 38, but this may be of benefit to you anyway as a separate document because it's every character area, category 1 and 2,
right.
so it's in a little map book, so that's to be included. So
yep.
that's the first resolution sought, that be included. The second resolution 4.2 is about just including some in the to be notified. So these are just appendices and they're just bringing through various living G existing appendices. They're just to explain some of the rules. So they were just missed out in the document that was printed. And the third resolution sought is just, it really is an updating of all the outline development plans, and it's just a list, and that's to be included. It's just one of the provisions in the proposed draft, and that's 14.6.4, so that's attachment C. So it's just been an updated list of the items. So those are the only changes sought.
Right, great. Yanni?
Sorry, just help me understand the difference between category 1 and 2 again.
We're not going to go back over old ground. This is approving the maps to be attached to a set of decisions we've already made.
Yeah, except I thought what we were doing is also moving some from category 1 to category 2.
No. This is as you decided a week or
yes.
ago. This is as
it's already been decided. This is
category
a
1 and category 2
amendment. I'm going to move the amendment. Do I have a seconder for the amendment? Phil Clearwater. So is there any discussion on that? I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Just moving on to the sale of alcohol rules and the general rules and procedures chapter. This is on page 2 if you want to see it on the spiral bound copy. This is the one remaining piece that hasn't been decided on because of the potential overlaps with the LAP, local alcohol policy. So I have Alison here who has received some more legal advice on this matter, and she could take you through that.
And I'd also like to invite up Ruth Littlewood, who's the policy lead on the local alcohol policy.
Oh, great.
And
Thank
Martin
you.
Ferguson, who's the senior alcohol licensing inspector. Martin?
Just take it to the side.
So we've received additional legal advice with regards to the potential relationship between district plan rules governing sale of alcohol and the local alcohol policy. So I've distributed that ahead of the meeting, so you should find on your desk that advice, and also some extracts from the Sale and Supply of Alcohol Act for reference. And the council needs to have particular regard at this stage to the minister's comments on the sale of alcohol provisions, which are that it would be a more appropriate method for the district plan to control these activities near residential areas through a local alcohol policy rather than through the district plan. The officer's recommendation is still to retain the sale of alcohol provisions in the district plan. The local alcohol policy and the Sale and Supply of Alcohol Act are not intended to supersede district plan provisions. There's several sections of the Sale and Supply of Alcohol Act that show that there can at least be both, and that they're meant to have a complementary relationship to each other. So you can see in Section 93 of the Sale and Supply of Alcohol Act, Section 93A, that a local alcohol policy may contain a policy more restrictive than the relevant district plan provisions, and that a local alcohol policy does not authorize anything forbidden by the relevant district plan. So there's clearly intended to be a relationship between the district plan rules and the local alcohol policy. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Supremacy, so whatever we put in the local alcohol policy overrides the district plan.
No.
No.
Right, so I've misunderstood. Apologies.
No, they work in conjunction with each other, and there are certain matters that can't go in the district plan that are covered by the local alcohol policy and vice versa.
So local alcohol policy can be more restrictive than a district plan.
In
but
what way, Seb?
it can't, well, in terms of the hours that it sets, but it can't authorize anything that's forbidden by the district plan. So if the district plan says that you can't have licensed premises in a particular location, the local alcohol policy can't override that.
But it can set the hours regardless of anything in the district plan, because the district plan doesn't have anything to do with hours.
The district plan provisions do relate to hours, so ideally they wouldn't be contradicting each other, but it is possible for the policy to have a policy that's more restrictive than the district plan.
For the LAP to be more restrictive than the district plan?
Yeah, but the issue that we've got is that the draft LAP that's been prepared doesn't include these provisions because they were dealt with in the operative plan. So, but sorry, I've just literally started to read this. Are we
so
able?
I'll just walk through the advice that was given, and then I'm happy to take questions. Also, it's worth noting in section 100 that the first step for applying for a license is to get a certificate of compliance with the district plan. So it's another reference between the two different documents. So the council, there's nothing in the Sale and Supply of Alcohol Act that says that the council can't also have district plan rules. So the options that the council have are to just have a LAP, to have a LAP and district plan rules, or to not have a LAP if it chooses.
Can you tell me which page you're on the advice?
So I think the next question to consider is whether or not the LAP can replace the district plan rules. Because the minister's comments and the statement of expectations are that if it's possible to have a more simple process that's still effective, that should be the preferred option. So I think we're just worth briefly discussing what the object is of the Sale and Supply of Alcohol Act versus the object of the purpose of the RMA. So the object of the Sale and Supply of Alcohol Act set out in section 4 is to reduce harm caused by excessive or inappropriate consumption of alcohol, and it's particularly focused on behavior. So any harm to society caused by crime or disorderly behavior as a result of sale of alcohol versus the purpose of the RMA, which is to manage the environmental effects. So it gets a little bit, there's a little bit of overlap in terms of section 105 in the Sale and Supply of Alcohol Act, which is a new section that was introduced in the criteria for the issue of licenses. And this gives the District Licensing Committee the authority to consider in section 105, 1 and H, whether in its opinion the amenity and good order of the locality would be reduced as a result of the license. So depending on how the amenity and good order is defined by the District Licensing Committee, there's potential for the license to consider some of the effects, like noise effects, that are traditionally considered under the district plan. So there are some of those amenity effects can now be considered as part of the licensing process. But there's other effects that can't under the RMA, or sorry, under the Sale and Supply of Alcohol Act or under a local alcohol policy. So those are things like traffic generation or anything that's not related to the licensing process. So things like if we wanted to have rules around controlling where late night premises were in terms of distribution effects. So if we wanted to control them in terms of the central city recovery or for reasons other than amenity and good order, then those would need to be RMA rules rather than local alcohol policy rules. So it is possible in some sense for some of the things that are controlled by the district plan rules to be controlled by a local alcohol policy. For example, in section 77, this deals with the location. so 77(1)A, is that a local alcohol policy may include policies relating to licensing of location of licensed premises by reference to broad areas. So it's possible for the local alcohol policy to include rules relating to residential zones. But it's worth keeping in mind that the local alcohol policy is only a policy, and this is the legal advice, if you have a look, Susan Grierson, on paragraph 17 and paragraph 18, which is that the local alcohol policy can set a policy, but it can't set standards for things like noise. So the district licensing committees, and there's 4 different district licensing committees in Christchurch, each of them can potentially interpret amenity and good order in a different way. There's nothing in the Sale and Supply of Alcohol Act that sets standards for noise. So it would be potentially there would be less certainty through that process than there would be through the RMA.
Well, they're two different purposes, aren't
Yes,
they?
they
So
are.
that's
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah.
So the only thing that's sort of kind of sitting at the back of my mind is that the independent hearings panel may not agree with this advice. So that leaves us exposed to a district plan that doesn't make provision for these matters and a LAP that can't.
Yeah.
So we can't lose this.
No, well, in our hearings, in the evidence, we will be tabling all of this.
Yeah.
And if there is something to the opposite by some other party, then we'll have to deal with that through evidence.
So is there some risk, though, that we will be exposed to a massive massive gap in our
Well, I guess there
regulatory
is risk
environment?
with anything that we put in front of the panel. I don't think that this is controversial in the sense that
Well, it
what
does show
Alison
that
has
we've,
told you.
we've not only had regard to the Minister's advice,
That's
we've
correct.
sought legal advice.
That's correct.
And their advice is basically if it can be dealt with, and the
Yes.
advice that we've received is that it can't be dealt with.
That's correct.
That's right.
Well, not sufficiently.
No, well, it can't be. No, but
Not
you
the
just
land use
said you
matters,
can't
that's
look
right.
at can't look at
That's
noise,
right.
traffic, all of those things that are regulated under the DPR. You can't
That's
you
correct.
can't regulate that through a local alcohol plan.
You can in theory, but it's a new process and it hasn't been tested. And what you're basically doing
And
is
do we
taking that
want to-
assessment from the
Do
consenting
we want to
process
be
to
a
the
new
licensing
process that's being
No.
tested? Do we want to leave people exposed to that?
No.
No. All right. So we go ahead with notifying the existing provisions
Yes.
on the distance between residential properties and.
Right.
Yep.
Excuse me, that doesn't need a recommendation. That will be covered by the overall recommendation.
Yeah,
at the
that's
end.
right, because that's what you're recommending. So we'll go with the official's recommendation. Is that all right? Yep.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you. And the last matter.
But I will still want to see you about whether we need to be looking at the LAP. So maybe we could have a meeting next week.
Yes, that would be good.
Okay, thank you.
Very good.
Can you organise that with my office?
Yes, I
Yep,
will.
thank you.
And the last matter is on page 169 in your spiral-bound copies. It was to do with the inland port and the officer's recommendation there under commercial and industrial, page 169.
Okay, so now this is the one that Yanni wanted to have a vote on.
That's
So,
correct.
and we've had the discussion and everything like that. So if you'd like to move your amendment, Yanni, then I can take the vote. Or if you just want to vote against it, do you?
That we remove the officer recommendation.
Which one?
It's on page 169.
So is it
The officer recommendation is to include a new policy.
So that's no. Well, then you just vote against it. There's no need to.
No, because we don't want it going forward. Well, I don't want it going forward, so we need to, like we've done with the others, move a resolution to delete it from the recommendations.
No. What we've been doing is we've been voting on each individual recommendation, and if they're carried, it goes forward. If they're lost, then they come out.
That's not true.
Hey. Oh, would you like to run the meeting perhaps
No,
instead?
fine. Do it your way. That's fine. Okay.
Thank you.
I'd just like to speak to this, if possible.
No, we've already dealt with it. We said that
Right.
we would hold the vote
Except
today.
there's other councillors in the room that haven't dealt with it. that
It
you'll be
doesn't
voting on.
matter because we would have dealt with it on the day, except that I said that I wasn't going to take split votes on Wednesday. So, what is the easiest way of doing it? Or maybe I'll let you move it. All right, you move that it be deleted. So that Yanni is moving that the proposal to include a new policy which reads to enable regionally significant inland port infrastructure to operate efficiently and safely through provisions that enable port activities while limiting the potential for reverse sensitivity effects associated with sensitive land uses. So Yanni moves that be deleted, and Phil seconds that.
I'm sort of seconding it pro forma because I think a quick explanation as to where Yanni's come from will be a better democratic process for something we are now going to vote on.
Oh, sorry, but I know
Dave wasn't here there.
Dave wasn't here?
I don't want to abstain from this because
Okay.
people think it's important, but I do need more information to be able to vote on it.
All right, Yanni, explain.
So what you need to understand what stage 1 has done is remove height limits from industrial heavy zone and changes to provisions from setback. So my main concern is that removing everything that has any control over where the port's developing, and I just drove past there yesterday, they're stacking containers up to a really high level. This is an area that has other existing uses. It's not too far from some residential areas. So I actually think that the port should have to deal with some of the issues around sensitivity to the existing environment. And I can't see continuously removing any sort of amenity requirements or height limits or assessment as to their activities on the existing neighbourhood and business community is in any way fair. I recognise the port has an important place to play in terms of our significant infrastructure, but I just don't think it's right that people are not involved in the activities that they're doing, and I don't think it's right to limit it and give them unfettered discretion to keep doing activities which may have impacts on people that are already there.
So, and I'd like to respond to that in that that's as may be, but we've already passed those provisions. That's already in the plan. All this does is includes a new policy statement in the objectives, policies and rules component of the inland port. So it's the recommendation in industrial is to provide specific recognition of the inland port in objectives, policies and rules. And basically the policy just simply says to enable regionally significant inland port infrastructure to operate efficiently. So it doesn't, this clause does not create the problem. No. It's simply a statement of our requirement to have policies that relate to an inland port. So it's not, yeah. So we've got moved Councillor Johansson, seconded Phil Clearwater, and I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. No, that's lost, but we'll have a show of hands. So those in favour of the amendment, 1, 2, 3, 4, and against, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's doesn't proceed. Was it 5? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I can't count. Still lost. Abstaining. It was 4 in favour, I think, wasn't it? Yeah. Right. So, right, so that's that one.
Yes, so now we just need to go back to the rest of the recommendations for all of stage 2. There are overarching recommendations, and I think they're coming up shortly. And that was generally to approve the chapters on the basis of all of these exceptions.
Yep.
To be publicly notified on the 2nd of May. As we go through them, we should tick them off as we go through them.
Yep. Oh, well, move the overarching recommendation. Someone like to second that? Paul Lonsdale? So, we don't need to go through them individually, or
I don't think so, but you might want to just
scroll down,
take note.
receive
Yes.
the Minister's comments and have regard to them, approve the staff recommendations as amended below, approve the recommendations table incorporating any changes made by council.
No.
No, we've done definitions. Approve any changes to be made to the stage 2 proposals. Approve the draft stage 2 proposals.
Can I clarify one of the definitions under the tertiary area?
No, we're just going through the final thing.
Recommendations.
We did that on.
Page 175.
We did that all on Wednesday. We did the definitions, but the definitions were only just a minor change.
That's right.
Can you get the person that did the definitions thing to talk to Vicky directly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. All
Yeah.
right. That's
Yeah.
fine. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Because I'm pretty sure that I know what. Right. But the definitions chapter doesn't create.
No.
It's just like the thing we've just done on the policy. The definitions chapter doesn't create the rule. The rule is created. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. If you can have a talk
Certainly.
to. Yeah. So approve the recommendations table. Approve any changes to be made to stage 2 proposals. To approve the draft stage 2 proposals. Approve the modified changes to the Minister's comments as tabled at the meeting.
And then scroll through because there are a number of ones that are just related to specific topics.
And then we've
And then there was 6.6 there, just that all stage 2 chapters remove all references to stage 3 chapters before notification.
Yeah.
Because you'll recall that we had the coastal environment in, and
Yeah.
now we've pushed it to stage 3.
That's right. All right. So that's been moved and seconded. So I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. Jana Johansson recorded opposed. So thank you. Right.